Be still. Take a moment to simply exist in the space you are currently occupying. There is a profound, quiet frequency settling over your life right now, a stillness that feels heavy, yet strangely supportive, like a thick velvet cloak draped over your shoulders. In the middle of a storm, you have been searching for answers in the noise of the world, looking for validation in the eyes of people who cannot even see themselves. But the truth you seek is not out there. It is standing directly behind you. You were led to this moment because the spiritual atmosphere around you has reached a point of saturation. You are a chosen one, a term that is often thrown around with excitement, but you know the weight of it. You know the isolation, the strange bad luck that turned out to be a redirection, and the feeling that you are being watched, not by something malevolent, but by something intensely protective. There is a male ancestor in your lineage, a man whose name might be written on a dusty birth certificate, or perhaps a man whose name has been lost to the sands of time, but his spirit is vibrantly alive in your DNA. This man does not play about you. He is a sentinel, a warrior priest of your bloodline who has taken a seat at the head of your spiritual council to ensure that you reach the finish line. He is the reason you survived what was meant to break you. He is the reason your enemy's plans have been dissolving into nothingness. He is a man of ancient discipline, a man who understood the laws of the spirit long before you were born. And he has returned in this season to act as your primary guardian. This isn't about ghosts or hauntings. This is about the factual, spiritual science of lineage protection. He is the heavyweight who steps into the room before you do, clearing the air of parasitic energies. He is the one who silences the wagging tongues of those who speak against you in secret. As you listen to this, you may feel a tingling on the back of your neck or a sudden warmth in your chest. That is him acknowledging that you have finally recognized his presence. We are going to move slowly through the 7 markers of his protection, exploring the quiet, sobering reality of what it means to be backed by such a formidable force. Point 1, the invisible barrier of social ejection. When we speak of protection, many people instinctively imagine a physical shield, a visible barrier standing between them and harm. But your male ancestor operates on a far subtler and more intelligent level, working through the frequency of social alignment and energetic filtration rather than brute force. You may have already noticed a strange and repeating pattern in your life. People you once trusted, friends you laughed with, or even family members you were emotionally close to, suddenly begin to act differently around you. Their tone shifts, their warmth cools, they become irritable, distant, passive-aggressive, or inexplicably hostile, without any clear event to justify it. This is not a coincidence, and it is not you doing something wrong. This is point 1, the invisible barrier. Your ancestor carries a vibration of absolute truth, ancestral authority, and uncompromising spiritual rank. Because he is closely bonded to your energy field, anyone who approaches you with a double mind, a hidden motive, envy, or subconscious resentment experiences immediate internal friction. On a surface level, they cannot explain why being around you suddenly feels uncomfortable, but on a deeper level, their spirit recognizes a presence it cannot manipulate, deceive, or feed from. It is like standing too close to a fire that exposes everything you are trying to hide. Instead of reflecting, repenting, or adjusting their intentions, most people choose the easier path: withdrawal, projection, or quiet hostility. This is not rejection, In the ordinary sense, it is exposure. Your ancestor is intentionally making you energetically untasteful to those who would drain your virtue, harvest your emotional labor, or benefit from your light without honoring your boundaries. He orchestrates the falling out before the betrayal has time to fully form, closing doors before damage becomes irreversible. When conversations die without explanation, when invitations stop arriving, and when bonds dissolve without a dramatic conflict, it is often because intervention has already occurred on a level you cannot consciously see. When you feel the sting of rejection, the confusion of sudden distance, or the ache of being misunderstood, pause and consider this sober truth. What feels like rejection is often divine ejection. Your ancestor is protecting your peace by removing the wolves long before they are close enough to bite. He understands timing better than emotion, and he will not allow you to pour your years, your empathy, and your loyalty into vessels that cannot hold them. He does not negotiate with disloyalty, and he does not gamble with your future by allowing unclean intentions to linger in your orbit. This is why some people grow uncomfortable when you grow clearer, calmer, and more self-possessed. It is why those who thrived on your confusion cannot survive your alignment. Your ancestor does not play with your heart, and he does not ask you to endure unnecessary wounds for the sake of social harmony. He values longevity over approval and peace over popularity. By quietly collapsing unstable relationships, he preserves your momentum, sharpens your discernment, and ensures that those who remain in your life can stand in the presence of truth without flinching. He is not isolating you. He is refining your circle. He is not punishing you. He is positioning you. As the gatekeeper of your circle, he filters access with precision, allowing only those whose intentions are clean, whose spirits are steady, and whose alignment is genuine to walk beside you. What leaves was never meant to stay, and what stays is protected by design. Point 2, the sentinel in the periphery. There is a factual spiritual phenomenon recognized across many ancient traditions, where the veil between the physical realm and the ancestral realm becomes unusually thin, particularly during what can be described as a chosen season in a person's life. This is not random, nor is it chaotic. It occurs when an individual has reached a level of internal alignment, maturity, and spiritual responsibility that allows ancestral forces to draw nearer without disruption. In this season, protection becomes more precise, more intimate, and more visible, not for fear, but for order. Point 2 unfolds through the visual and physical manifestation of his presence, often misunderstood by those unfamiliar with ancestral lore. You may notice a tall shadow, a brief silhouette, or a flicker of movement in the corner of your eye, especially when you are alone, quiet, or deeply reflective. To an untrained mind, this might be dismissed as imagination or labeled as a haunting, but within the calm and structured reality of the spirit world, this is known as the sentinel in the periphery. This presence is not intrusive, emotional, or erratic. He does not announce himself loudly, nor does he seek attention. He remains at the edge of perception because his role is not to distract you, but to guard you. This male ancestor often appears as tall and imposing because he represents the pillar of your lineage, the one who stood firm so that others could live, build, and continue. His height is symbolic of authority, stability, and spiritual jurisdiction. He positions himself in corners of rooms or near doorways because these are thresholds, energetic gateways where influence enters and exits your space, Nothing crosses a threshold without inspection. His role is to monitor what comes into your environment, not only physically, but also mentally and emotionally. Every thought you entertain, every emotion you dwell in, and every external energy you invite is quietly assessed. He checks the spiritual identification of all of it, ensuring that nothing incompatible with your calling is allowed to linger. You may observe subtle confirmations of his presence through the behavior of animals, particularly pets who pause, stare, or track something unseen in a specific corner of the room. Animals do not question what they perceive, they simply acknowledge it. You might also sense a sudden localized shift in temperature, a crisp, clean stillness rather than a threatening cold. This is not meant to unsettle you. It is a signal of stabilization, a message that the perimeter is secure and the space is under watch. This ancestor is a man of order, discipline, and boundaries. He does not tolerate chaos, clutter, or sustained disorder in the home because the environment mirrors the state of the soul. Through his silent presence, he is instructing you without words. He is teaching you that your home is not merely a place of rest, but a sanctuary, a temple where your spirit recalibrates and strengthens. Disorder weakens awareness, order sharpens it. Protection is not passive, it is maintained. As you grow more attuned, you may find yourself naturally rearranging your space, removing what no longer belongs, and becoming more intentional about what you allow into your life. This is not coincidence. It is ancestral mentorship in its most refined form. He guards you with unwavering vigilance, and in doing so, he teaches you to guard yourself with the same resolve. Point 3, the architecture of the blue-hour dreams. Your ancestor understands that your conscious mind is often too occupied with the noise, pressures, and unfinished loops of three-dimensional life to perceive subtle instruction. So he chooses the blue hour, that narrow and sacred window between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., when the world is quiet, the veil is thin, and your defenses are lowered. And this is point 3. The architecture of dreams. These encounters are not random symbols or emotional debris from a restless day. They are precise, intentional, and structured, carrying the unmistakable weight of design rather than chaos. In these dreams, you are not running or reacting. You are observing, learning, and receiving. You may find yourself seated in a classroom that feels older than time, surrounded by walls that seem to breathe with memory, or walking through an ancient library where knowledge is not written in books, but embedded in the air itself. Sometimes you stand on a wide stretch of land, unfinished yet full of promise, and beside you is an older man whose presence feels familiar in a way that bypasses logic. He may speak very little or not at all, but his gestures are deliberate, slow and heavy with authority, as if every movement carries instruction encoded beyond language. This is not a dream guide meant to comfort you. This is a strategist revealing blueprints. He shows you pathways before you walk them, outcomes before you commit to them, and structures before they exist in the physical world. Through carefully constructed scenes, he teaches you discernment by allowing you to see people exactly as they are, not as they present themselves while awake. Faces appear clearly, intentions are exposed without explanation, and behaviors are demonstrated without excuses. You may wake with the strange certainty that you now understand someone in your waking life without knowing why, and that understanding is not emotional. It is factual. These are the spiritual facts of your situation, details your physical eyes overlooked because they were filtered through hope, habit, or distraction. When you wake during these hours, with a heavy stillness in your chest or a sobering clarity that feels almost urgent, resist the instinct to roll over and fall back asleep. Sit up, breathe, stay still. The silence itself is part of the transmission. What you're experiencing is not anxiety, it is alignment. He is finalizing the download, allowing the information to settle into your nervous system where it cannot be distorted by fear or doubt. Your ancestor operates with the mindset of a man who understands that battles are decided long before confrontation ever occurs, and that true power lies in foresight, positioning and timing rather than brute force. By meeting you in dreams, he ensures that when you step into rooms, conversations or decisions, you are already ahead of the unfolding moment. You are not reacting to life. You are moving with prepared awareness. This is why you may later feel strangely calm in situations that unsettle others, or why certain moves feel obvious to you while invisible to everyone else. You are carrying information they do not have, and you did not obtain it through struggle, gossip, or trial and error. It was given to you quietly, strategically, during the hours when the world was asleep and your soul was listening. Point 4, the strategic delay and the stop reflex. One of the most profound ways this male ancestor protects you is through what can only be described as the stop reflex. And this is point 4. It is not dramatic, it is not loud, and it does not arrive with thunder or visions. It arrives quietly, disguised as inconvenience, delay, interruption, or frustration. You have experienced it more times than you realize. You are rushing out the door, your mind already ahead of your body, focused on where you're going and what you intend to accomplish. And suddenly something interrupts the flow. You forgot your keys, then you realize your phone is missing. Then you remember one last thing you must go back for. To the surface, mind, this feels annoying, inefficient, and even irritating. But to your guardian, this is precision. This ancestor operates with a long view of time, not minutes or hours, but consequences and outcomes. He understands that 5 minutes of delay can separate danger from safety, loss from preservation, and collision from survival. What you interpret as bad timing is often perfect timing working against your impatience. This ancestor does not play with your schedule, especially if you are a chosen one, because timing is not a convenience for you. It is a matter of destiny. He knows when being early would place you in harm's path, and when being late would spare you from a moment that was never meant for you. That missed meeting, that delayed journey, and that plan that suddenly fell apart at the last minute may not have been a failure at all. It may have been a catastrophe quietly removed from your timeline. This ancestor is not sentimental about your desires. He is strategic about your survival. If your plans are leading toward a cliff, he will sabotage them without apology. He will cause technology to fail, transportation to delay, and people to interrupt you at the exact wrong moment, if that interruption keeps you from stepping into a trap. He will make someone call you unexpectedly. He will slow your momentum just enough to change the angle of your path. You may feel blocked, but you are being buffered. You may feel frustrated, but you are being shielded. This is the invisible hand on your chest when you are about to rush forward prematurely. It is the pressure that says, "Not yet," even when your emotions say now. And here is the sobering realization that changes how you view your entire past. How many moments you labeled as setbacks were actually successful interventions. How many doors that would not open were protecting you from rooms that would have drained you, broken you, or delayed your true alignment? This ancestor values preservation over gratification. He is not concerned with how things look in the moment. He is concerned with whether you make it intact to the next season. He is the elder presence that understands consequences before they occur. Like a seasoned guardian watching a child approach a busy road, he does not explain the danger in detail. He simply stops you. Later, much later, you may look back and realize what was avoided. At the time, all you knew was that something felt off, something slowed you down, and something blocked your urgency. That was not resistance, that was protection. The stop reflex is not meant to feel comfortable. It is meant to be effective. When you learn to recognize it, you stop fighting delays and start respecting them. You begin to understand that being held back is not the same as being denied. Sometimes it is the highest form of care. Point 5. The financial shield and lineage providence. Spiritual protection is not only a matter of guarding the soul, it is the preservation of continuity and the survival and elevation of the bloodline itself. And this truth becomes unmistakably clear in point 5, where the focus turns to how this ancestral presence governs and stabilizes your resources. There exists an ancient and factual law of lineage that declares that a righteous man leaves an inheritance, and this law operates far beyond material wealth passed down through wills or property. Even if your physical ancestors were unable to leave you anything tangible, this spiritual ancestor is actively correcting that imbalance, working across unseen dimensions to ensure that what was missing is restored in a higher form. You may have noticed moments in your life that defy logical explanation, financial rescues that appeared at the last possible second, bills resolved without clear cause, refunds arriving precisely when your account was empty, or opportunities emerging after long periods of scarcity when you had already accepted the idea of going without. These moments are not coincidences, nor are they random favors of chance. They are interventions. They are evidence of advocacy. This male ancestor stands for you in the courts of heaven, asserting your right to provision and continuity, reminding the universe that your life is not operating on a purely survival-based script, but on a kingdom assignment that requires resources in order to be fulfilled. Because of this, he does not treat your financial stability lightly. He does not gamble with your ability to provide for yourself, nor does he allow your future to be compromised by short-term chaos. He operates with precision, foresight, and restraint, often guiding you in ways that feel subtle, but later reveal themselves as decisive. He is the force that places your name into the thoughts of people who hold influence, access, or authority, causing them to think of you at unexpected times, to mention you in rooms you are not physically present in, or to open doors that you did not knock on directly. At the same time, his protection is not indulgent. He blocks as much as he provides. He intervenes when you are tempted by impulse, when you are emotionally vulnerable and about to spend, invest, or commit in ways that would have felt satisfying in the moment but destructive later. That sudden hesitation, that unexplained resistance, that internal pause that makes you walk away from something you thought you wanted. This is also protection. He is training you in sober stewardship, teaching you to respect resources not as symbols of status, but as tools of stability and continuity. Through this guidance, you begin to build a foundation that is resilient rather than flashy and durable rather than performative. You start to value sustainability over speed, structure over impulse, and long-term peace over short-lived gratification. This is not accidental conditioning, it is preparation. Just as he stands as the foundation of your spiritual protection, he wants your material life to reflect that same unshakable base. He understands that a bloodline does not advance through bursts of luck, but through consistency, discipline, and alignment. Over time, you may realize that what felt like restriction was actually refinement, and what seemed like delay was the careful placement of weight-bearing pillars beneath your life. In this way, your resources become an extension of your protection, and your protection becomes a living inheritance, carried not only in what you possess, but in how wisely, calmly, and deliberately you are taught to build. Point 6, the awakening of ancestral memory. As you grow in your calling, something subtle yet undeniable begins to unfold within you. A quiet shift that does not announce itself with noise, but with depth. You find yourself drawn toward things that once felt distant or irrelevant. Ancient history, forgotten civilizations, the lives and struggles of your grandfathers, and the customs, codes, and spiritual practices of your people. This is not curiosity in the casual sense, it is a gravitational pull. This is point 6, the awakening of ancestral memory. At this stage, a male ancestor, often one who carried authority, endurance, or unfulfilled purpose, is lighting up dormant sectors of your DNA. This activation does not arrive as fantasy or imagination. It arrives as a factual hunger, a need to know where you come from and why your spirit recognizes certain truths instantly. You may feel compelled to research your lineage, study old texts, revisit traditions, or sit in silence contemplating questions that feel older than your current lifetime. This is ancestral intelligence reasserting itself. As this awakening deepens, it begins to affect your physical presence. Your posture subtly straightens, as if an invisible hand is aligning your spine. Your voice may deepen or carry more resonance, not through force, but through grounded certainty. Your movements slow slightly, becoming deliberate. There is a new weight to your words, a calm authority, what can only be described as gravitas emerging in your personality. This is not ego, it is remembrance. This ancestor's influence is no longer confined to the abstract. It is bleeding into your physical reality, reshaping how you occupy space in the world. He is reminding you of something essential. You are not a new person scrambling to invent an identity in a chaotic age. You are an ancient soul returning to claim what was always yours. With this remembrance comes a stripping away. The modern insecurities that were programmed into you, self-doubt, comparison, the need for validation, and the fear of being misunderstood, begin to lose their grip. In their place rises an old-world confidence, the kind that does not announce itself or seek approval. It is the confidence of a man who knows exactly who he is, because his identity is rooted in lineage, sacrifice, and continuity. You may notice moments when you look in the mirror and something feels different. Your eyes may seem older, more knowing. A facial expression may flash across your face that feels borrowed from another era. This is not illusion, it is integration. Memory is not only stored in the mind, it is carried in bone, blood, and breath. You are not becoming someone else, you are becoming more complete. As this ancestral memory awakens, your priorities begin to realign. Superficial pursuits lose their shine. You develop respect for discipline, honor, and responsibility, not because someone taught you, but because these values feel familiar. as if you are remembering a language you once spoke fluently. You begin to sense that your life is part of a longer arc, that your choices echo backward and forward through time. This realization brings humility, but also strength. You understand that you are here to finish something, to restore something, to carry wisdom forward rather than abandon it. In this way, you become a living bridge between the past and the future, anchored in ancestral truth, yet walking fully in the present. The past is no longer behind you, it is within you, guiding your steps with quiet certainty as you move forward into what you were always meant to reclaim. Point 7, the final word in spiritual warfare. The seventh and final point is perhaps the most sobering because it reveals the quiet, immovable authority known as a reality that operates beyond emotion, noise, or spectacle. This male ancestor does not function like a distant guardian who reacts late or negotiates from weakness. He holds a high spiritual rank that grants him jurisdiction. Authority in the spiritual realm is not granted by volume or aggression, but by standing. And this ancestor's standing is unquestioned. Because of this rank, he possesses the power to issue what can only be described as spiritual restraining orders. When attacks arise, whether they come through whispered gossip, coordinated legal pressure, subtle social sabotage, or unseen spiritual projections, he steps forward as your chief advocate. There is no panic in his movement and no urgency in his posture. He does not argue with lesser forces, because argument implies equality. He simply stands, and in that stillness, something profound occurs. His presence itself functions as a command, a silent cease and desist that lower-level spirits, hostile intentions, and manipulative energies immediately recognize. They know exactly what they are facing. You may notice, often without dramatic explanation, that those who once seemed determined to destroy you suddenly lose momentum. Their plans unravel without your involvement. They become distracted, miscalculate, turn on one another, or fall into the very traps they set. Some simply lose interest altogether, as if an invisible hand has redirected them away from your life. This is not coincidence, nor is it random mercy. It is the effect of encountering your wall of protection. Your ancestor is the one who draws the line and states without speaking, "This far and no further." He guards not only your physical path, but your reputation, your spiritual credibility, and your unseen rank. In realms where hierarchy matters more than intention, he ensures that no unauthorized force is permitted to diminish you. This protection does not remove challenges entirely, because growth still requires terrain, but it ensures that no challenge is allowed to exceed its jurisdiction. This is why you can walk through environments that would break others and yet remain intact. This is why you can pass through the valley of the shadow of death and feel no consuming fear, not because danger does not exist, but because danger recognizes what stands behind you. Evil does not retreat out of kindness or morality. It retreats out of self-preservation. It understands authority when it encounters it. The reason you are not overwhelmed, the reason your name survives, the reason your spirit remains uncorrupted despite pressure, is because there is a presence behind you that does not need validation, permission, or reinforcement. He has already spoken the final word long before the conflict reached you. What unfolds in your life afterward is merely the visible echo of a ruling that has already been issued. Your role is not to fight every battle, explain yourself to every accuser, or defend your name in every room. Your role is to walk forward with composure, knowing that when matters reach a level beyond human handling, they are intercepted by a higher court. This ancestor does not negotiate outcomes. He enforces boundaries. He does not chase threats. He nullifies them. And when all noise fades and all accusations lose power, what remains is the quiet truth that you are still standing. Not by luck, not by coincidence, but because your defense has already been finalized. Chosen one, let these words settle into the marrow of your bones. You are not a victim of a cruel world. You are the protected asset of a powerful lineage. This male ancestor who does not play about you is here to stay. He has seen your tears, he has seen your struggles, and he has decided that the buck stops here. Your life is now under his supervision. Walk with a new sense of sobriety today. Listen to the silence. Watch the coincidences. You are being guided by a master strategist, a loving father figure, and a fierce protector. The protection runs deep because the purpose runs deep. Rest in this truth. Be at peace in this reality. You are covered, you are guarded, you are chosen,